I'm so excited. So many things are going through my mind right now, and I'm so excited to share all of it. I've got a tripod, and it's really exciting because, I don't know, it's just exciting. I was holding it and I was like, this feels so right. It's very sunny today. I'm gonna sit closer to the camera. Synchronicity has become more of a happening thing for me once I became aware of it, and once I became in tune with the frequency or the habits or the behaviors that allow for synchronicities to happen. So I woke up this morning and intuitively I wanted to listen to a certain song. And this has happened to me before. I've spoken about this before, where I intuitively listen to a song, and it's a song I've never put on before, and it will have a message within it which I needed to hear, which I needed to affirm. It was this song by Black Eyed Peas. It was like, you know that song like get started, and there's a line, when one of the first lines, it says, free your inhibitions. What does it say? I can't contain my excitement. I feel a little bit overwhelmed by excitement right now. So I'm trying to compose myself so I can be a channel for whatever wants to come through. It says, what does it say? Oh yeah, follow your intuition. It goes, follow your intuition, free your soul, free your inner soul, and break away from tradition, or something. It's strange. It's weird how these things sort of happen. That may not make any sense to you, but it's exactly what I needed to hear. It's this, free your intuition, free your inner soul, and break away from tradition. Yeah, it's beautiful. There's so many things that I want to talk about today. As you can tell, I feel a little bit erratic. So I'm trying to calm down and center myself and ground myself in the now so I can be a channel for whatever wants to come through. I started reading about my human design yesterday or the day before, and the first time I read it, none of it made sense, and then this time that I read it, it all clicked. There's something about that. People say about how they read a religious scripture at one point in their life, and then at another point in their life it means something completely differently, or at some point it didn't go in and then this time it did go in. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. I need to relax. Okay. Let me drink some water. Okay. Whew. Okay. Okay. What are the things I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah. So human design stuff, I began to read into it, and I found that I'm a projector. And the interesting thing about a projector is that they the way that they work is different to what society conditions them to believe. And another thing about them is that they're very susceptible to influences. So I was like, this is all the stuff that I've been talking about in my videos. It's all the stuff that I've been aware of through doing this, through talking. And then sorry, I'm actually a bit overwhelmed by how grateful I feel and how beautiful everything is right now. Like, the synchronicity of everything is kind of overwhelming, and I'm almost just sort of like overwhelmed by the excitement of it all. I feel like everything's in place and everything's okay, and I'm whole, and I can do this. Like, I can actually do this, and that's all I'm focusing on. The lighting's kind of weird, isn't it? My eyes look weird. Okay. I might not post this, who knows? But it's part of the journey, you know? One of the main things I wanted to talk about today was, or that I felt called to talk about today, was a topic that you can't really talk about in a short video. It's not something which is easy to encapsulate, and it's love. I had a really, really inspiring conversation with someone the other day, and they were talking to me about religion. And he teaches, and when he teaches about God to people, or the children, they ask, how do you know God exists? And then he says, well, do you believe in love? And they say yes. Well, in Christianity, they say that God is love. So it made me begin to reflect. I was like, because when I talk in these videos, I talk about loads of different things, like the universe, follow your heart, consciousness, all of this kind of stuff. But really, love is the universal language. That's the thing that everybody understands. Everybody knows what it's like to love someone or to be loved. Hopefully. Most people, probably. Yeah. Most people. I became aware of, yeah. Anyway. So I began to reflect, what is love? How can you love yourself? And it reminded me of a lot of things, like how I used to, how I thought, I said to my mom once, you gave me a foundation on how to be loved, but you never taught me how to love myself. And I don't say that as like a way to be like, oh, you were supposed to do that, because my mom and dad, they broke free from a lot of the experiences that they had as children from their parents. They broke the cycles, but to break free from all of them, as well as chasing financial goals and all that stuff, is very difficult. So I understand that. I'm not saying that they should have. But what it did was, it led me down a path of trial and error. It led me down a path of figuring it out for myself. And naturally, very human-like of me, I had to make mistakes. I had to go down the self-destructive path in order to bring myself out of it. I had to be susceptible to influences in order to understand my energy and how sensitive it is, and how if I actually just figure out how to cultivate that energy, it's a superpower. I'm no longer scared of my sensitivity or shy of it, and I'll talk about it. At first, it used to make me feel uncomfortable. I tell people I feel shy, not shy. I would tell people that I'm sensitive, and then it would make me feel shy, because I'd feel so vulnerable. It felt like I wasn't used to expressing my sensitivity. So now when I express it, and I get positive reactions from people, like people value the fact that I have that part of myself, the part of myself which I denied, and the part of myself which I didn't accept, is such a healing thing. So on the topic of self-love, which is something that I think should be taught in school, it's an endeavor maybe that I will venture out into later on down the line with more experience and more wisdom, and is giving some form of talk or some form of teachings around this stuff, because it's important. It's really important. I'd say it's the most important, because they say in Christianity that the way that you love, they phrase it as the way that you love thy neighbor is the way that you love yourself, sort of thing. And it's this idea that the way that you love other people is the way that you love yourself. So it sort of inspires me to think. It reaffirms what I'm doing. It's the idea that I'm doing an inward journey in order to change my outer reality. And by changing my outer reality, I actually need to change my external things, the things that I do externally. So, in my reflections on love, I found 3 things that were the key components, I think. The first thing was gratitude. Gratitude for me first started when, like, people would say, oh yeah, you need to practice gratitude. And my mind's going in different places right now. I'm thinking about a conversation that I had with someone, and they were saying about, in Christianity, the Mass, like where people go to church on a Sunday, is also called Eucharist, and in Greek or in Latin, that means to give thanks. So I had all of these ideas about, okay, I need to be grateful, but it's not about just like saying it, it's about actually feeling it. And that's a journey. It doesn't happen like that. So the first start of my gratitude journey started from when I read that when you wake up, your brain is in alpha. It emits alpha waves or something. And when you're in deep sleep or deep relaxation, you're in delta and theta. And then when you go on your phone, you're taking in beta waves, which are like focused, eye-opening, like creates like a shock in your system. But they say that alpha waves are the bridge between your subconscious and your conscious. So you're in this very impressionable gap. So I was like, okay, what can I do in that impressionable gap? So I listened to this gratitude meditation. It was like, thank you for my body. Thank you for my legs. Thank you for my intuition, and all this stuff. And it was helpful. It started my day off rewiring my brain to be thankful for all the things that I forget. Now I don't do that anymore because I've changed my lifestyle slightly. My connection with God has become more personal. It's no longer this passive listening to something else. It's now a personal thing that I feel grateful for within my journey right here, right now. So when I wake up, I listen to inspiring piano music, and I write, journaling my thoughts and my feelings and my learnings and my teachings. And within that, gratitude is weaved, but in a very personal sense. It's very powerful. It's very powerful. It comes to this idea that you need not wait to enjoy yourself or to feel happy about yourself until you get something. It's backwards. They say that gratitude provides the foundation to manifest everything that you want. It's about cultivating that energy before you've got the thing. Which brings me on to a side tangent of you don't want what you think you want. A lot of the time your thoughts aren't actually accurate. There's these feelings behind them, or there's the deeper essence that you're looking for, which is really what you're craving, really what you want. Someone said to me once that you don't want fame, you want respect. And you don't want respect, you want self-respect. So like these external things are just an illusion, and they're temporary. And it's human to go for them, because they say in Hinduism that we are pleasure seeking. And I think they say Krishna is like the all pleasurable or something. Something like that. I might have butchered that. But it's this idea that if we seek outside of ourselves for pleasure, for things, oh, when I get this, it's like we have this hole in our chest, and it's never ever going to be filled by those external things. And when I was at the spiritual community yesterday, they talked about this. They were talking about renunciation of external things. And I said to her, I put my hand up and I said, so what do you think? Do you think it's about having a balance between these things? Or do you think it's about renunciation of all these things? And she said, well, at some point you need to renounce it all. And I'm not sure how I felt about that. My mum always says that it's good to enjoy a bit of chocolate sometimes. It's good to enjoy a bit of this sometimes, a bit of that, because these things aren't inherently evil. But it's like, if our relationship with them is out of distraction for ourselves, or wanting to do them because out of like impulsivity, it's like this unconscious, like, I'm just gonna do it to avoid myself, I'm gonna do it to, the relationship and the intention behind our actions is really important, because it shapes the way that we feel about ourselves in our subconscious. Like, our subconscious knows all of the things that we're doing, and it picks up on it, and then it tells us how we feel. Like, when we do things impulsively, when we do things without intention, it tells you like, oh, like you're unintentional. And then it kind of feels like you're not in control, and you build up all of these stories. So this is what I mean by you have to change your external things in order to change your inner reality. And by changing your inner reality, you are literally birthing yourself into a new realm where all things are taken care of and all things are loving and beautiful. So that's gratitude. Compassion is the next thing. Compassion for me is a very relevant thing. It's a very personal thing for me. As I've said before, my nature was I'm very attuned to people's energies. I'm very sensitive to people's energies, which is why I'm so interested in people. It's why I'm so interested in developing myself, because I have such a connection with my emotions and stuff. So what does compassion look like? Compassion for me, my brain's saying they're probably clicked off now because you've waited too long. Okay, focus. Compassion for me is a very personal process. As I was saying, I'm very susceptible to other people's energy. So I went down this process of bending myself, adapting myself, people pleasing, And it led me down a path of me feeling very low about myself. I had a friend once, and we used to pride ourselves on the fact that we could get along with everyone. We thought that that was a good thing, which from a certain perspective it is. It is a good thing to be able to get along with everyone, but really the hidden thing behind all the things we were doing was that we were masking. We were masking who we truly were. We were denying parts of ourselves and instead figuring out what other people wanted, and then we were giving them that. So we were never actually attracting to ourselves the things that we wanted, the people that we wanted, the opportunities, whatever, because we weren't being our most authentic selves. So for me, the compassion journey is quite broad and it's quite deep. It's there's different aspects to it. There's the building a relationship with my inner child, which meant me letting go of a lot of things which didn't serve me. Similarly to, if you imagine, like Jordan Peterson says this, he talks about treat yourself like you're someone you're responsible for. And for me, I interpret that as you're taking responsibility for your inner child, because we have that. We have an adult self, we have a inner child self, we have a weird self, we have a sensitive self, we have all of these different parts of ourselves. That's what I mean by inner child. We have an inner child which has wounds, and in the artist's is it The Artist's Way? Yeah, The Artist's Way, it says that your inner child is where all your creativity comes from. And when I began to realize that my creativity is the thing that makes me happy, it's the thing that I love doing. I don't want to work a normal job. I don't want to work a 9 to 5, and it's not because I shun that. It's because I don't believe that that's where my strength lies. That's not where my energy lies. That's not what I love doing. So I could do that. I could settle for a normal job. I could start going out drinking, and I could stay stagnant, and I could go to university, and I could become a therapist. I could do all of those things. And I don't know if it's a little bit extreme, but for me it's like all or nothing. It's like I either do that and it's nothing, or I'm all in on this. Let go of all the negative stuff, completely cultivate this thing, pour your heart and soul into this thing. And it feels completely different when you start to follow your intuition, when you no longer do things out of safety or out of wanting to please other people or follow what society conditions you to believe is the right thing to do, you know? But I know how hard it is, because I'm experiencing it as well. I'm currently breaking free from all the things that were holding me back in the past. Understanding my shadow and its insecurities. Rewriting the beliefs. Bashar says that we are, life is intrinsically meaningless, but we, as human beings, have the power to attach meaning to things. And if that power is misused or misunderstood or unconscious, then we attach negative beliefs to things. Someone will tell us while we're swinging around on a monkey bar and tell us that we're being a show-off, and then we think, oh, okay, Alex, you're not allowed to be a show-off, you're not allowed to be confident. Or people will say, oh yeah, you're not allowed to act beautiful. So then you start thinking, oh yeah, I'm not allowed to think that I'm beautiful, I'm not supposed to act like I'm beautiful. And then when you go into a modeling industry when you're 16, and then they're just like, oh, you need to be more arrogant. And it's like all of these different influences, like the modeling agency's telling me I'm supposed to be arrogant. The school people are telling me don't be arrogant, like that's not good. So it's like I'm susceptible to all of this shit. And I'm taking all of it in, and I'm confused. I'm overwhelmed. I haven't built my sense of self. And people are telling me what I am. People are telling me what I should be. How destructive. How unhelpful. It's not what I needed. So compassion, I've said about how it's about building that relationship with your inner child. And as I say this, it's like my brain can go in so many different directions because it's such a deep topic. And I'm conscious that if you're watching this and you're looking for a quick fix, this isn't it. This path isn't a quick fix. It's not a one thing. It's not it's not like I figure out this one thing and then I'm done. It's like, it's kind of like a lifestyle choice sort of thing. It's like, do I want to love myself, or do I just want to be what other people want me to be? Or do I just want to be safe? Or do I just want to be stuck, sort of thing? So compassion is a very deep topic. I've had to learn to be kind to myself, learn to talk to myself. I've said this before, and I talk to myself. I tell myself, like, Alex, you got this shit. And I feel like I do now. Like, I realize everything's perfectly timed. You know? Everything's perfectly timed. Another thing was unconditional love. That's something that they say in Christianity and in religion, that is what God is unconditional love. When you think of unconditional love, you think of your parents, hopefully. I do. I think of the fact that I would be so mean to them and so ungrateful, and I take them for granted, and then they would still make me food, still take care of me, still tell me that they love me. Or they do things for me that I don't understand the value in, but they just know, like, he'll appreciate this one day. And I do now. But at the time they didn't get any validation. So it's this idea that you're not doing things, you're not doing acts of service out of love and care for the other person for validation. It's this non-attachment to your ego. Someone asked me the other day, they said, what is your idea of what love is? And I said to her, when you see someone smiling and you're just happy for them, when it's got nothing to do with you and you're just happy to see them happy. Because intrinsically I understood that love isn't about the things that you get from other people. It's just this wanting the best. It's just this lovingness towards them. It's just like, I just want to see you happy, man, or woman. I just want to see you thrive, and it makes me happy, and I'm happy for you, sort of thing. Just by doing that for other people, you begin to do it for yourself as well. By giving, you receive. The universe, God works like that. In order to have, you must first give. Forgiveness is probably the last thing. Forgiveness is something which is so complicated, because a lot of the things that you try to forgive are so deep-rooted. They might be really deep-rooted trauma, and that's not simple. That's not like, oh, okay, I'm just going to choose to forgive them. It's sort of, the way that I like to see it is like, pick that one thing out, and that one thing is a mountain. And when you begin the forgiveness journey, it's like at each point up the mountain, there's a checkpoint. And that checkpoint is when you become triggered, or when the thought comes back in, when the feeling comes back in. And at every single checkpoint of the mountain, you need to surrender into it. Use the acronym RAIN. Recognize that it's coming up, allow it to come up, investigate or inquire. And by that, I mean, there's different types of investigating and inquiring. I'll come back to that. And then you nurture it. And you can experiment with nurturing it. That's RAIN. So inquiry and investigation, this is important. It's something that I've learned and is really helpful, because previously I would just overanalyze and investigate, constantly just investigate. Why do I feel like the way that I feel? And sometimes you don't need to do that. You can actually paralyze yourself by doing all of those things. Sometimes it's good because like I've said before, I've had to venture into my past to speak to my past self, to find out what are the negative beliefs that I've attached that I can rewrite. And then I act from that place of rewritten. act from that place of change, of radical change, a radical change in attitude, because you've realized what it is. But then sometimes you just feel the way that you feel, and that's okay. And you don't need to question why. Sometimes you just need to let it pass and just surrender into it. Nurturing is interesting because when you have someone in front of you that you care of, and they're telling you something, your mind is kind of going in loads of different directions. Do I say this? Do I say that? Do I say this? Do I say that? That's kind of like what you almost need to do with yourself, is this experimenting in your mind. Like, what is it that I need to be nurtured? Like, what do I need to tell myself to show to myself that I accept myself, that I don't judge myself, that I'm okay the way that I am, that I'm whole, that I've got this, whatever it is. So what I was saying is, like, up the mountain, you have those checkpoints, and you use that mechanism of RAIN, or surrender, that David Hawkins talks about. It's the letting go technique. This letting go into your emotions. Stop resisting the emotions, because what resists persists. You just need to surrender into it. Be there for it. Allow it to express itself. And at each checkpoint up the mountain, it will happen again, and you don't condemn it. Each time that it comes up, you do the same thing. You surrender into it. You're there for it. And all of these unprocessed emotions will start to come up. More and more and more and more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, a week's gone by. You haven't thought about it. A year's gone by. You haven't thought about it. And if it does come up, you no longer feel the same way you felt about it. You've changed your relationship with it. This is power. It's powerful what the mind can do, when you understand your emotions, what can happen. How much your life can change, how much lighter you can feel. How when you open doors to your sadness, you also open doors to love and acceptance. So you lighten up, you raise your vibration, you begin to attract more things like that. Because you attract what you are, not what you want. I've said a lot. I'm so grateful for the attentiveness, abundance, and generosity of the universe to my needs. I'm provided for with such grace and love. All things for my life purpose to be joyfully and successfully expressed are freely given to me. May all beings feel the loving embrace of the universe, or God, love, whatever you want to call it, and fulfill their sacred purpose. Thank you.